It's San Fran Driver, Cisco.
Yeah, it's
Cop policeman game.
Hello, welcome to episode 18 of Podmup. We're back. I'm Ollie, and with me is Tibbs. Hello, Tibbs.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm
You okay?
Tibbs. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, good.
It's a special episode
Is it?
because we're broadcasting live today from the Pontiac Silverdome.
We are. Yes, that's right. Do you know what?
Yeah,
I hadn't even noticed.
I know.
Yeah,
We've set a new attendance record as well.
Yeah,
93,174.
Well, yeah.
Attendance. We're waiting for that to be confirmed.
Yeah. The reason you can't hear them is because they're respecting, our art here.
Yeah. They're watching in hushed reverence.
They are.
Um,
Yeah.
Where
Okay.
that came from. You did the solo show last time, so thank you for covering that.
Yeah, no,
I
that's all
appreciate
right. I enjoyed it actually. It was I wouldn't mind doing more of those. A little if you didn't hear it, it's a little radio show, I suppose you could call it, of music, Mega Drive music. Some of my favourites from games I like, from games I haven't even played yet. So yeah, last episode, give it a listen if you missed it.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah. So in the last 2 months, I guess, what have you been up to game wise? What you been playing?
Well, I've had a lot of sort of real life stuff that's sort of taken my attention away. But
Yeah.
the time I have sort of spent, I've completed the Medieval remake.
All right.
Put out.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Really good game. Also, if you don't follow us on Twitter, then you should, because we've just given away a copy of that in
That's right.
our first little giveaway.
That's
so
right.
we'll probably be doing more of those in future. So if you want a chance to win something good, follow us on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I did that. I bought the Aladdin and Lion King double pack re-release thing.
Oh, did you? Okay. I haven't
Yeah.
picked that up. How is it?
It's all right.
Yeah.
Emulation's a little bit ropey.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Like frame rate wise and gameplay wise and everything, it's fine. It's the sound emulation. It always seems to be the sound
It is the
emulation
sound with the Mega Drive. Yeah, they can't seem to get it quite right, can they? Which is
No.
annoying.
No, it sounds okay, and then it will like judder a bit, or it just doesn't sound right in places, and it's kind of lets the package down a little bit. But if you haven't played the games, or you haven't played them for a long time, I mean, it's only like 20 quid, so it's good for it's really good for the price, and the behind the scenes documentaries and making of documentaries and stuff that they include on there, sort of makes up for its sort of shortcomings and things.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a look at those because they used like real Disney animators on those, didn't they?
Yeah,
On
they did.
Mega
Yeah.
Drive one. Yeah. So it's Mega Drive Aladdin, Mega Drive Lion King.
Yeah.
Is the SNES Aladdin on there, or is it not? No, it isn't.
No.
Because there was some confusion about that initially. There was some sources saying it was, some wasn't.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not on there. I can only assume because it was the Super Nintendo Aladdin was developed by Capcom.
That's right. Yeah.
And I wonder if there's some kind of rights issue, or
Yeah.
because the Aladdin games that are included, like you said, all the artwork was done in house at Disney. I don't think that was the case for the Super Nintendo one.
No,
So maybe there's some rights regarding the artwork or stuff. I don't know, but yeah, it's not on there. It's only going to be the Mega Drive one. So.
Yeah.
And the Game Boy and Game Boy Color as well.
That's interesting. Yeah. I've never played those. Yeah.
No. But
Cool.
yeah, it's a good little set. I bought ages ago. I had it on pre-order. You can order them straight away now. There's no sort of pre-order period. But the PSIO, it's like a flash cartridge for the PlayStation, so you can boot games off of flash cards.
Oh, I'm not sure I even heard of that. This.
Yeah, it's a really nice little bit of kit. A little bit fiddly to install. because you've got to cut a few traces on the motherboard and solder like a little pass-through chip on before you can get the cartridge to work. The soldering's not too much of a problem, but the cutting of the traces are really, really narrow, and my eyes aren't good enough to do it unaided, so I had to try and use... I got like an old magnifying lamp thing here, but it's broken, the hinge is broken, so I was sort of holding it with my elbow on one thing to prop it up and then trying to cut the trace with another, and it's a nightmare, but I got it done. Yeah, it's really good. So you can like load your games off of a SD card.
Okay.
And, you know, just... It's good for a preservation standpoint, because the PlayStation lasers, you know, they're not going to last forever. So
yeah, the lasers in all of these machines are the things that seem to fail first, aren't they?
It does seem to be the weak point, I suppose, because there's so many. There's so, you know, I mean, a laser pickup sort of, it's a precision instrument really, and you know they're going to wear out sooner or later. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So really
it's a good idea. There's I've seen ones for Dreamcast and like Saturn as well and stuff like that. So it's something that it's great that people are thinking about these things and kind of making it possible to keep these consoles actually.
I've got to say though, good luck getting any of the Dreamcast or the Saturn ones, because it's like one guy who makes it and he does them all by hand.
That's right. Yeah, there's waiting lists. That's right. Yeah, you have to. He sort of announces them one day, and you just have to sort of get in there quickly, don't you? I think there are fake ones around on eBay as an alternative.
There are.
I don't know how reliable they are, but
apparently they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
Apparently it's an identical hardware clone. I'm in two minds about it really. I mean, on the one hand, I don't like people who are making things for the community getting usurped by sort of mass production in China.
That's right.
But on the other hand, if you've got people waiting to give you money and you're not accepting that money, someone else is going to take it for you. I mean, it's, you know, supply and demand.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's a difficult one.
It is a difficult one. But the PSIO, if you want one, you can buy them direct now. There's no waiting lists or anything. And,
okay.
Yeah, they're all good.
Cool.
And the final thing I've been messing about with is I bought open source scan converter.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I've only played with it for a couple of days, but yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice. It's a bit awkward if you've got PAL consoles like ours.
Okay.
Because obviously games run their best. A lot of the games run better when they're running at 60 hertz.
Sure.
But if you modify, like a modified Mega Drive or modified PlayStation, it doesn't run at the true NTSC frequency. It's like point something off, so it's not an exact NTSC frequency.
Right.
And that can cause a little bit of... It's not plug and play. You have to tweak a few settings to stop the picture jittering and to sort of get it just right.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
No, I wasn't aware of that either. Apparently, the FrameMeister.
Yeah.
That's the really expensive one.
Yes. Yeah.
Apparently, that really struggles with it. In some cases, like it won't display at all. I've heard, but yeah, I'm really impressed with it. I bought a pre-assembled one from Amazon. It came like with a proper manual, nice box, and yeah, really good. Highly recommended.
Okay. Cool. Right, what have you been running on that? Just anything you.
I've tried the Mega Drive and the PlayStation with it so far. I was playing through Sonic 2 with it today, and it's beautiful. It's really good. Compared to, because before I just had a RGB SCART cable going into the back of the telly.
Yeah.
And the difference between just a standard SCART cable and this is night and day. It's
I can imagine. Yeah. Especially if you're doing it on a flat screen. Yeah.
And you can tweak all if you like scan lines, which I like scan lines because I think it just feels more authentic, to an old CRT. And you can sort of tweak the intensity of the scan lines and whether you want them horizontal or vertical or both. There's loads of sort of options to get the picture just how you like it. It's really nice, yeah. Really, really. If you're wanting to play retro consoles on the telly, I'd really recommend looking into it.
Cool. Excellent.
So how about you? What have you been up to?
I played a few things. Finished Shenmue 2.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm all set for number
You're
3.
ready.
All set for number 3 in a couple of weeks. there was a demo out. I think it was for backers, wasn't it? For Shenmue 3.
Really? No, I didn't hear that.
I think if you backed it, you got a demo, like a Steam. I think it was a Steam demo, like a couple of weeks ago, and I think people are saying it's everything they'd hoped for from going through that. I think it's managed to live through all the hype and everything from so far anyway. So I'm excited to play that. Second one was good. I think I like the first one a bit more just in general, but I think first half is a bit slow of the second game, but I think the second half really picks up quite a bit. So it is overall a pretty good game, I think.
I haven't played the second one. Certainly not to completion. I think I played a bit of the Xbox one. But yeah, I certainly haven't completed it.
Yeah.
Now we know that we've got the third one on the way. How bad is the cliffhanger on the second one? Assuming that the third one wasn't coming and you just played it and there was going to be no third one, is it a bad cliffhanger?
Yeah, I'd always wondered this before playing it. It's not a cliffhanger in the sense that something dramatic is happening. It's very much not an ending of the thing. It's very much saying this is the game. Actually, the last couple of hours of the game is almost the start of Shenmue 3 because it takes place in a completely different place. You have like a really climactic ending with a boss, and then it suddenly completely shifts to this whole new area, which seems like much more the start of a new game, and then it kind of ends like, okay, to be continued. So it's very much not an ending. So you can imagine people's horror, frustration that it wasn't being continued for a very long time. So it was interesting to finally see how that came about.
Mm-hmm.
But so looking forward to that.
It's a few weeks away.
It's a couple of weeks. Yeah. So not much longer to wait. Yeah. Other thing I've been playing mostly last month is Yooka-Laylee, The Impossible Lair.
Oh, the 2D side-scrolling.
Yeah, so it's a sequel to Yooka-Laylee, but it's a genre departure in that it's Yooka-Laylee was a Banjo-Kazooie kind of homage. This is kind of a Donkey Kong Country homage in a way. It's very similar.
I've heard a lot of people say it's a lot better than Yooka-Laylee. It seems to have gone down.
Oh yes, it's a much more refined. Everything about it is really sort of honed to perfection. The physics, the sort of the progression through the game, the difficulty curve. It's all, I would say, just about perfect. They've really, really put a lot of time and effort into making sure the whole experience is really, really smooth and plays nicely, which is great. It's I think because I've never really played much of the SNES Donkey Kong Countries. I've played the Wii and the Wii U one, and I do like them, but they did enough get frustrating. They were, like really, really, like especially Tropical Freeze. I think
Tropical Freeze.
Tropical Freeze may be a very, very angry man. But the difficulty curve in this is so much better. It's so much more manageable. There's infinite lives for one thing, which is a big help. And then the health system is similar in that your health is sort of the bat Laylee. If you get hit, she kind of she sort of flies off and goes nuts. And if you get hit without her, you lose the life, or rather you go back to the checkpoint. But you have an option. You have the ability to catch her back again. As she's flying around, a bit like in Yoshi's Island.
I was going to say that sounds like the Baby Mario.
Very similar, yeah. So that gives you much more, rather than in Donkey Kong you lose Diddy and then that's it. You have to wait to get a barrel to get him back. This is it's similar but much more forgiving. But yeah, it's got like this overworld, the top-down hub world, which has a lot of kind of puzzle elements similar to the first game, really, but it's managed much better. I think it's that just flows really nicely. The two kind of different styles blend really nicely. You've kind of got each level is represented by a book in the level, in the sort of the hub world, and you have the ability to alter the levels by doing something in the hub world. So you release a load of water from one from a stream, it sort of floods into the book, and that will create like an alternate flooded version of that level.
Oh, cool.
So there's really nice ideas like that, and it's the same sort of level geometry, but they have different objects and different different goal. It's like a really good way of reusing the same level, but without it feeling like you're retreading the same ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a really good game. It's there's only two things I would say it could really improve upon. It's I think how in the Mario and Yoshi games they're very sort of inventive with things. They come up with how you'll have one level which comes up with an idea that you've never really seen before, and it's just think, wow, that's so inventive. I think a lot of Yooka-Laylee plays it a bit safe with that. I think a lot of the gimmicks they're really, really well done, but there's nothing really that you haven't seen before in other games. So it doesn't get old, but I think maybe if they'd have just a few more levels that really kind of push the inventiveness a bit, I think that might help it a bit.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the music, really, because it is a good soundtrack. It's by David Wise, who did Diddy Kong Racing, which is one of my favourite soundtracks. But this doesn't quite reach the same level of catchiness as that one. I think if it just had a few more tunes in it that I would go away humming when I'd finished, it would make the experience just that little bit better. I didn't have too many of those. But as I say, it's really not a bad soundtrack at all. I think it's just if you take something really good and give it a really, really catchy, awesome soundtrack, it takes it from really good to great, like awesome. So it's just a couple of those little things keeping it from being like probably a great all-time platformer. But other than that, it's just a really, really good kind of textbook platformer, I think.
It's quite cheap as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only 20 quid.
A little budget release as well. There's been some really cracking games, like budget prices recently.
There has, yeah.
There's a lot of sort of big AAA releases at the moment, but I mean, if you're on a budget, there's been some really good stuff coming out.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's one if you're into platformers, especially if you've got kids. I mean, Alice has been watching me play, and she loves it. There's just something about it that she really kind of is glued to. So if you've got kids, and if you've got slightly older ones, it's very forgiving, so they might be able to play it and enjoy it. I definitely recommend it. It's a really, really good game.
Awesome.
So the only other thing I've been playing with any sort of consistency, I've been replaying Sonic Lost World.
I've never played it.
Do you know what? It gets a lot of stick from a lot of people, and it's quite a polarizing game. Some people really like it. Some people absolutely hate it for some reason. I never really worked out why.
I think I played a demo, but I don't have the full game. No. It's the one where it's all sort of is kind of like Mario Galaxy, but cylindrical.
Yes, it borrows a lot from Mario Galaxy. I think they wanted to deliberately take a different turn with it and try something different, and they kind of, what works really well. We're going to have a go at doing something that's a bit more like Mario Galaxy. I'm not going to say it's as good as Mario Galaxy, and it certainly has its problems, but it's a really interesting kind of. It's quite an experimental 3D Sonic game, I would say. It's kind of it puts more emphasis on going a bit slower a lot of the time. It's actually got a run button, so you don't so your normal moving around is just a walk. Then you hold the trigger It is kind of weird for a Sonic game, but in 3D, I think it actually works quite well. You can actually jump onto a platform without sort of fearing that you're going to sort of slide right off. There's a certain amount of there's a good control to it. You can actually jump with some precision. It works less well in the 2D, unfortunately. They kind of use the same system for 2D, and you always kind of, when you do a jump to a platform, you never have quite the same momentum that you would expect normally. And that kind of lets it down, I think. But, I mean, it's a really nice... It's got some nice ideas, a bit like what I was saying just now. Some unusual things that you don't normally see in a Sonic game. The great soundtrack. Really, really good soundtrack, even by Sonic standards. And I've been playing... this is on the Wii U originally. It came out in 2013, I think. I've been playing the Steam port. I'm just sort of playing through it, really, because I was just looking for something to play, and I thought I might as well. And I've played through most of it, and I haven't really, because I don't know the levels inside out as much as I do for other Sonic games, but I haven't really, found them to be particularly challenging, in a sort of frustrating sense that some people seem to have with it. But I think it's worth a second look, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I see it cheap enough, I will pick it up on the Wii U.
Oh yeah, I mean Wii U games are quite a low price now. I should think it's not very expensive at the moment.
I wouldn't have thought it was too pricey. No.
It's well worth the try. There are,
Yeah.
I think Sonic Team kind of wrote it off as another failure because of whatever certain reviews said, and it's kind of they haven't really thought about taking any ideas from it. But I think it does have some really nice ideas. There are sort of hidden routes in it that are sort of auto-running sections. They're often hidden for some reason. You have to find them, and you sort of run along these kind of cylindrical pipes that sort of wind round. And he's auto-running. He's not going too fast, but fast enough that you can avoid obstacles. And those are really, really fun. And it's a shame that they haven't quite looked at that instead of like the long empty sections where it's just enemies and you just simply boost through and just nothing interesting really happens.
Yeah.
Which is Sonic Forces all over.
I'm going to say Sonic Forces
yeah.
in a nutshell.
Instead of doing that, they should have done something a bit more engaging like that. And I think a game that combines that and like 2D Sonic would be a real killer, I think. Yeah.
I wonder what the next 3D Sonic is going to be. Really,
it's difficult. It's so difficult to predict because I mean they've been quite few and far between this decade, and they always, whenever they do something, it's always come unexpected. So they've gone from Generations. They went to Lost World, was completely different, and then for Forces they kind of went back to the Generation style, and both of which kind of proved unpopular for different reasons. So. I don't know. I
remember watching a video by Jim Sterling on YouTube where he sort of criticised Sega rather than Sonic Team for not sticking with an idea.
Yeah,
like they'll get an idea and they'll do something interesting with it. Like you said, maybe flawed, but certainly something that could be really good if it was refined.
That's right. Yeah.
But if it doesn't like hit that critical sweet spot, they tend to throw it all out and just start from scratch again.
Yeah.
And I think that's a reasonable criticism. It does seem to be a pattern that they fall into, but hopefully, I'm really hoping that the success of Sonic Mania has shown that there's an appetite for more, going back to the tried and true formulas.
Oh, definitely. They're well aware. They're well aware of that. I mean,
I would hope that they. That's sort of going to be a guiding principle for them going forward.
They are. I think they're also aware that there are lots of, because they've, as you say, they've gone through all these different ideas. There are lots of fans of certain ideas within that, like the sort of the boost mechanic, the more 3D stuff, and they seem to, it's unfortunate.
In terms of the 3D stuff, though, I think using Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 as a template would be the same thing. Would be the way to go.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I remember when Sonic 06 was announced, I think a lot of people were expecting that to be Sonic Adventure 3 in all that name.
Yeah.
And I think people have wanted a Sonic Adventure 3 ever since. So if they want to go down the, a 3D game for the new fans and a 2D series for the more retro fans, I think Sonic Adventure would be the template to use for any 3D ones going forward. But... it's like you say, it's impossible to predict, isn't it, with them? Yeah,
they could do literally anything, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't got around to playing Sonic Forces. I do have it on Steam, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
I wouldn't rush.
No, I'm not. I know. I have seen a playthrough from it. Everything that I look for in a Sonic game, everything I value in it, that game just seems to take a massive dump on it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we talked about it. We talked about it briefly in one of the earlier episodes, but it's kind of it tries to be really edgy and sort of dark, but it doesn't have the guts to go the whole way with it.
No, it doesn't. No,
they'll be like, they'll say, "Oh, Eggman's had Sonic kidnapped for 6 months and he's been torturing him every day," and then the next scene, Sonic's just wisecracking No, it's like, oh, well, yeah, that's really dark. Sonic's been tortured.
Yeah, and
but
he's perfectly fine.
They didn't have the guts to actually go through and show any of that. It's just like...
Yeah.
And then there's an argument like, does anyone want a game where Eggman's torturing people?
Well, no, not really. It's just a bit...
is that something anyone really wants in the first place?
Not really. But, yeah, like a sort of dark, sort of Batman DC Comics kind of version of Sonic. I don't think anyone wants that, really, do they?
Oh, it sounds
I would
wretched.
hope not. Yeah, it does sound wretched.
There's fan fiction sites if you like that kind of.
Yeah. I think the American comics kind of go more down that route, but I've never, I don't know. That seems a bit wrong. It seems a step too far. I think you need to kind of think about what Sonic is and what it was always supposed to be, like from the start, and kind of,
And at the end of the day, I mean, you've just got to recognise the absurdity of trying to do a grimdark story about a blue anthropomorphic hedgehog, really, haven't you? And a villain called Eggman.
Yeah. On that,
know your limitations.
Yeah. On that note, I'm sure you've seen the leaked photo that people think is the redesign of the Sonic movie. Yeah. It looks a lot better than.
It looks a thousand times better.
Actually, looks like Sonic more or less. Yeah. So. Assuming that's the one, I think people seem to be fairly sure it is. Probably a good call there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think the film's going to be that bad, to be honest. My main criticism of it, I think, was the design.
Yeah.
The design was awful.
Yeah. I think if you go into it with the right expectations, I think, you've got a reasonable chance of being entertained, I think.
Yeah, I quite like Jim Carrey's sort of interpretation of Eggman.
Yeah, it looks good.
It's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey.
Kind of.
I'm all right with that. So
I think it'll.
A good Sonic.
Do you know what? It will work.
Be fun.
It will work for the Eggman character, I think.
Yeah.
That it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm optimistic, but I'm not down on it. I'm not gonna. I'm not going to go see it in the cinema, but when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'll watch it and I'll probably enjoy it, I think.
Cool.
So.
I think I am going to go and see it in the cinema, actually, only because, I think I owe it to the childhood me that who always wanted to go and see a Sonic movie. I think, this may be the only one that ever is, so I might as well go and enjoy it,
Yeah.
Even if I'm the only one in the cinema, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a Sonic cinematic universe, is there?
I hope not, no. just probably just one would be fine. Yeah. God, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised going. God, the way the cinema goes these days.
Everything's got to be a cinematic universe.
Yeah, don't get me started, honestly.
PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Not really a lot to say about it.
Not really. No, I know. I have in my notes. I have PS5 ? Written and literally nothing about it.
Because we didn't really know anything about it other than the fact that it's called PlayStation 5 and it's going to have an SSD in it. And that's about it, really. We don't know launch titles, price, dates, anything.
No.
But we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it. So, PlayStation 5.
Yeah. So that's coming out late 2020, isn't it?
Yeah, holiday 2020.
So we'll probably
supposedly.
see it at E3, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And probably the same for the Xbox one as well, whatever that's going to be called.
Project Scarlet at the moment.
Yeah, that'll change, I expect.
That'll change.
Also, because Scarlet isn't even their colour, is it? It's green.
No, it's not, is it?
Which I found really odd about that choice of code
Project
name.
Emerald.
Yeah.
Would have been good.
That would have been great, yeah. Really cool.
I was going to say something, I've forgotten now. But yeah, PlayStation 5.
PlayStation 5. Did you pick up the Mega Drive Mini?
No.
No, I didn't either.
No, I didn't. I don't know why.
I think I might when the price goes down a little bit. I think I have found it difficult to justify to my wife why I should buy it. Given that I have a Mega Drive with an EverDrive in it.
Yeah.
And emulating and all that. So yeah, I can see her point there. But it looks it's done well, review wise. I think it's they've kind of nailed it, I think. And there's a lot of value there.
The thing is, there's better ways to play the games that are on there. Either through a RetroPie or on a PC or with any of the... Well, actually, I can't recommend any of the current gen collections, but the Mega Drive collection for the 360, the Sonic Mega collections if you wanted the Sonic games. There's other ways to play these games. The main attraction is the small form factor looking like a little Mega Drive.
Yeah.
And I think the Retro Electro model sort of scratched that itch for me, really.
Yeah, same with me. I think if Old Vic hadn't come out with that awesome little model, I think I'd be much more tempted by it. But
yeah,
it's there, sort of sitting on the shelf. It sits right in front of my desk, my monitor. I can see it all the time. So it's like, I know.
That's kind of that's filled that gap for me personally. When they drop in price, I might get one just for just to give it a trial run and see what it's like. But I didn't. I'm not in any particular rush to pick it up.
No, me neither. Okay, so anything else to discuss? Have you thought about the thing that you've forgot about?
No, I didn't, but I have thought of something else.
Okay.
With the Mega Drive Mini, I noticed that they've done a plastic 32X and a Mega Drive that you can add to it as well.
Yes, I know.
Why didn't they get Vic to do that for them?
I know, exactly. It does look quite cool, the little Tower of Power or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it does look cool.
I think
I don't know if you can even buy it in this country.
I think it's Japan only, I believe.
I'm sure I've seen like the US 32X, because it's called the Sega 32X.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
In Japan, and the Mega Drive 32X in US and Europe. And I'm sure I've seen a Mega Drive 32X one with sort of the European branding, but I don't know.
Okay.
It might be a Japan only thing, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah, does look good. It's 32X. I think it's Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. But like I said, I mean, they've got someone on hand who has made small Mega Drive.
Yeah.
They could have just given him a call and said, "Listen, sort us out with the goods."
Yeah. Yeah. I'm eagerly awaiting to see what Vic does next. Actually.
Yeah. We haven't heard much about it, so
no.
If you're listening, Vic.
He's not going to tell us until he releases.
Us,
well, we've already asked him. He didn't tell us, so he's not going to tell us now. Is he?
Okay. Any other news that we need to cover?
I haven't got anything written down there.
No, I don't either really.
It's all it's not really announcements at the moment, is it? It's just sort of releases. Games coming out for Christmas, and they're not really announcing anything at the moment.
It's not really anything that interests me. I know there's a lot of stuff with Call of Duty. New Call of Duty is meant to be. Some people say it's good. Some people say it's bad. It's controversial for some reason, but it's not really something I'm.
It's not us Call of Duty, is it?
Not really my cup of tea.
No, me neither. No.
Other than that, I think that covers it all.
Okay. We've got incoming indies. You don't have one this month. I do.
I do not.
That's okay. That's all right. That's absolutely fine. I expect two. I expect two next month, though.
Two. Okay.
No, it's fine. You can have one. I've got a little game. Sage 2019 was a thing this year. Sonic Amateur Games Expo for those uninitiated. This is an online sort of yearly event. That's been going for the past, I'd say about 20 years, I think now, isn't it?
Oh, it's a long time since we were in school, anyway.
Yeah, I remember talking to you about it. It must have been the year 2000 or 2001 or something.
Yeah.
In fact, and I made a Fat Sonic fan. I don't remember.
You entered it.
I did enter it, yeah. I think I entered the one that was like a real kind of top-down 2D event that you could walk around in.
Yeah, they had like a little application you had to download.
Yeah, I think I was in that one. Yeah. Anyway.
And then so you found someone was selling your game on eBay on a compilation.
Yes, right. They were, yeah. The bastards, yeah. This is going back a long, long time ago. Like the earliest versions of the Game Maker, I think. And I think I sort of took the basic platform tutorial from that thing and just worked from there basically and just slapped Sonic sprites and things in there.
Yeah, it worked well.
It was all right for what it was, I suppose. Anyway, yes, the Sonic Amateur Games Expo is an online event. It lasts a week or two, I think. And people who are working on Sonic fan games traditionally will submit demos to it that you can download. But in recent years, it's also been the home of sort of various non-Sonic games, indie games, that kind of thing. Sort of opened its doors a bit. And I'd say this year is the first year where the indie game, the sort of non-Sonic fan games, really outshone the Sonic fan games. There's some really nice looking stuff there, actually. One thing in particular I've picked out. This is a game called XF Drive. This is a racing game. It's by a chap called, I think this is just a screen name, Lake Feppard, who you may be familiar with. He's an extremely, I would say, disgustingly productive individual developer, and I say that out of jealousy. Who's created two complete 2D Sonic fan games called Sonic Before the Sequel and Sonic After the Sequel. Don't know if you've heard of those.
Oh, I've heard of those.
Yeah. He's also then, as if that wasn't enough, he's made an original character in a Sonic-esque platformer called Spark the Electric Jester, and a sequel, and a 3D sequel to that.
The 3D sequel, yeah.
So he's made all of that, and now he's, somehow, I don't know how. This is all in like the last 10 years, I think, or something like that. So
yeah, Spark the Electric Jester was going to be that's on my short list of games to cover at some point.
So, oh right, okay, that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
cool. So anyway, he's doing a little racing game. Sort of a very sort of Sega-ish, arcadey kind of racer. It's sort of point to point rather than laps, a bit like Outrun. And it's very fast paced. It is kind of reminiscent of a platform actually. So you can kind of see how he's jumped from Sonic, because it's a bit like one of those kind of stunt ones. Is it
Trackmania?
Yeah,
I'm seeing it compared to him. I'm just looking at some pictures of it now. It looks really good.
That's what I was thinking of. It's kind of like a sort of a stunt thing where you got kind of the demo. You can still get the demo. I'll put the link in the show notes. But you go fast down this sort of regular route, and then it sort of turns into kind of these loop-the-loops and kind of sort of platform kind of things. And it was really fun. It was really good fun. I'd recommend it. It's as I say, it's really fast. It's really entertaining. It's got rather than in some races where you fall off, you sort of start very close to where you did. There's sort of checkpoints where if you fall off, you're going to go back. So it does kind of feel like a sort of a streamlined 3D Sonic game in a way. So yeah, that's all there is to it really. It's just a sort of a simple kind of Sega-ish arcade racer, a bit like that Trackmania Turbo.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. That's amazing. That's like you say. Yeah, he puts out a lot of stuff.
He does incredible amount of content. I'm convinced that he's mastered the art of duplication, self-duplication, and he's just got like a whole team of himself working away on these games. That's the only explanation. Or he's like hiring cheap labour or something. I don't know.
I spent like 3 weeks on Game Maker just to get just to do like a basic tutorial thing.
Yeah.
And there's guys like that just churning out these really high quality games. Like, well, what should I do this morning? I'll just do a Sonic Adventure clone. I'll get that done. That'll be fine.
It makes you sick in a way, doesn't it? Really.
Oh,
these people, God.
Honestly,
share some talent around, blimey.
Yeah, jeez.
Anyway, yeah, go and check it out. It's we'll stick the link in the show notes. It's called XF Drive. I find it quite difficult to Google because it comes up with like a car or something.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But XF Drive.
It's like third or fourth link in the Google results before we actually find out. There's lots of other unrelated stuff.
Yeah, just put XF Drive game or fan game or Lake Feppard, I think his name is. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the thing, and it's cool.
Excellent.
Okay, right. So, shall we have a little break and then crack on with our book club game, which we haven't mentioned at all?
No, we haven't.
we always forget to mention the book club game.
Yeah, so much for back announcing. Well, 1 month off, and it all goes to pot, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Professionals. It's Driver San Francisco. it's San Fran Driver Cisco.
Yeah, it's
policeman game.
Cops and robbers. There.
Cops and robbers.
We don't even need to talk about it. We done it now. Cops. Driver.
That's it.
Cops and robbers.
So same time next month.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So yeah, we'll take a little break and we'll come back and talk about Driver San Francisco.
Okay. Bye bye. Hello, welcome back. We're talking Driver San Francisco.
Yes, we
are. This is an Xbox 360 / PS3 / PC game.
Yes.
It was released in the US and Europe in early September 2011. An OS X release appeared the following year, and there's also actually a Wii version, which apparently is completely different. Did you read this up? Yeah,
No.
it's apparently a prequel to the original Driver, and so it's got a completely different storyline, completely different gameplay mechanics. Yet somehow it's given the same name.
I didn't
Which
know
is
that. That'd be worth,
yeah, I didn't get around to looking much more into it, but yeah, that's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we're looking at the 360 and PS3 version. Which one did you play?
I played it on 360.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. It's as you'd imagine, it's pretty cheap. I think it goes for. I got it for about £4 or something. I think.
Oh really? Yeah. I paid about 10 for mine, but
Okay.
yeah, it's not going to break the bank at all.
No. Yeah, part of the Driver series, which I've never played before until this one. Actually, are you familiar?
Oh, okay.
How versed are you in the Driver series?
Fairly well versed.
Okay.
I played and loved the first one when it came out. I missed the second one at launch, but I played it years later. And the third one, the less said about the third one, the better.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but disdain about the third one.
Oof, it's a stinker.
Is
it?
It
really is.
What?
And it's a shame because they had some really, it was. It's one of these games where Grand Theft Auto 3 had moved that because the original Driver always had like comparisons to Grand Theft Auto because obviously the driving around cities and crime type based gameplay, it was always sort of compared to it. And Grand Theft Auto 3 kind of perfected the 3D, moving that gameplay into 3D, but I think it was still early days for it. And Driver 3 wanted to do the same kind of thing, but they weren't half as successful of it as it. You could see they had a lot of the same ideas as what GTA 3 was trying to do.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work. It was glitchy. It was just unfinished. It's just a mess. It's just a real mess. There's I've heard. There's a gaming TV show or internet show called Consolvania. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's an amazing show. But in their review of it, they mentioned that there's a mission where you're supposed to be on a boat. So if you don't go to the section where the boat is, you can just drive around and shoot pedestrians and everything, and the cops won't come because you're supposed to be on a mission on the boat. So it just doesn't spawn in any police, and it's just full of really, really odd glitches like that. It's just a mess of a game, and it's a shame because you can see underneath it all there was they had some really good ideas, and they were trying to bring this formula forward and have this open world, and I just think they're what's the phrase? Their reach exceeded their grasp.
Yes.
They were trying to do more than they had the skills to do, I think, or time or budget or whatever, but they couldn't bring what they wanted to bring to fruition. And it's a shame, but it's a mess of a game.
This isn't a mess of a game, though, I would say.
No.
I think this is a really well done. I had actually a lot of fun with this game.
So did I.
Yeah.
I've got to give credit where it's due. This game sort of popped onto my radar thanks to a YouTuber called Nick Robinson. He's at Babylonian on Twitter, and he did a video explaining about the game, but the thrust of his video was the fact that you can't buy it for PC anymore. It's not available. There's literally, he had to find a key reseller on some dodgy site somewhere to actually get to download it. And it's sort of the video is called "The Best Game Ubisoft Won't Let You Play," and it's well worth a watch. But yeah, it got onto my radar for that because I think the Driver 3 sort of soiled the reputation of the series a bit, and I think a lot of people just ignored it after that.
Yeah, well, that's a shame because it's they're missing out.
They're missing out. It's a really good game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very sort of typical of its time, particularly in the Naughty. Although this isn't naughty, it's typical of a Naughty's kind of sort of free roaming vehicular game. I would say it's kind of you don't really get games like this anymore. I don't.
No,
think.
you don't. No,
it's open world is much sort of bigger in scope these days. There's so much more to do, so many collectibles to get. And while this does have extra stuff to do, I think it kind of focuses much more on, just getting through the story, which, I kind of appreciate more generally.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, let's go into it then. So it's it takes place in San Francisco. You play as undercover detective John Tanner with partners Tobias Jones. Are they in it? Are they always in it, or is it just
Tanner is?
Tanner?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're basically seeking to foil the plot of Nemesis and escaped convict Charles Jericho, who, as you play, it seems to be he's attempting to assemble components to create some sort of chemical weapon. And at the beginning of the game, Jericho, who's sort of incarcerated in prison, is being moved from one place to another. And at that point, he gets assistance with a breakout, and via a capsule hidden in his mouth that contains acid that he breaks with his mouth and drops onto his handcuffs to dissolve them, which has got to be the most dangerous way of. Here's the oldest trick in the book. Yeah,
oldest trick in the book.
Yeah, but not like slowly, just immediately. So I mean, if he like accidentally bit it too quickly or something, I mean, his like, whole jaw would like fall off or something. I think pretty risky as prison escapes go, I would say. But yeah, that's what he does. He gets out. He Tanner and what's his name, Jones. Are in hot pursuit, and he manages to put Tanner into a coma, basically, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But you sort of get these kind of two parallel worlds throughout the game where he's in a coma, and you get glimpses of it, but you're back in San Francisco in normal and you can drive around it, and you appear to be in a dream world because he's got these powers. Right?
Yeah, he doesn't realise he's in a coma to begin with.
No, he doesn't at all. No, you can't, and you don't fully know what's going on either. But as you play, it becomes obvious that he was injured in that conflict. I think he gets run over by the police van that Jericho commandeers. So yeah, he's not doing too good. But he's in this dream world where he realises he can sort of have an out of body experience and kind of float up above the city, and then hop into possess the bodies of drivers around the city, and then sort of occupy their cars, and then you can drive around that car.
Yeah,
which is a great idea.
It's a really good idea. And I'm surprised I'm surprised the idea hasn't been
Me too.
Worked upon since.
Yeah,
because it's really good.
It's so much quicker than sort of having to get out of the car, stop another car, pull the driver out, get in, then drive it out. It's really quick. It's really well done. You can really sort of zoom in quite closely to really pick out the car that you want. And yeah, it's really good. And I like when you possess someone, you jump into the conversation that person's having with their passenger, and you get some really kind of quite amusing kind of dialogue between the two people, and it's
you like jump into a driving instructor giving someone a lesson, and you like take over them, and you like suddenly go in on a police chase and things, and the instructor's like losing his mind. It's amazing.
And then the fact that he kind of has to keep pretending that he's still that person.
Yeah.
So he's kind of picking up along the the lines of that conversation. It's there's some quite amusing dialogue in there. But yeah, it's all sort of mission based, so you kind of use that power to sort of hone in on particular vehicles, have particular missions attached to them. Some of them progress the story and are needed to go through. Others are a bit more optional. And then I find that a bit jarring sometimes, because you would do like a story mission and do like a really intense story mission, and you have some a big reveal at the end, and then the next mission is something seemingly completely unrelated and sort of mundane.
Yeah,
that it seems a bit. Well, why am I doing this? I mean, something major's just happened there. Why am I jumping out into this?
I want to get on to the next bit. This doesn't make sense. That I'm trying to scare someone to. There's like missions where you got to get someone's heart rate over a certain amount to scare them. Yeah.
And
it's like you've just done this really pivotal mission,
yeah,
and now you're just jumping into random people's bodies to scare them. It's like I don't really know why that's working, but I'll go with it.
Seems a little weird, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a variety of missions. I mean, they're kind of, a lot of them are based on sort of mixtures of sort of standard kind of things. You got like chases, time trials. checkpoint challenges, destroying target vehicles, pursuits, that kind of thing. But they're all kind of done really well in the way that they kind of feel different each time. I think the way they sort of dress them when they put the storyline over it and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some nice side missions as well. One of my favourites is I don't know if you got this one. It's where you're the driver of this woman who has organised an event of some description, and there are these bad guys threatening to trash the event, and the way to stop, but they don't know where the event is, and the way to stop them is by driving through all the signs that have been put up for this event, all the advertisements, so that they don't know where the event is. I love that. That was so stupid, but it's great fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's loads of great characters like that in it, and I'm sure they could just look at the signs that are lying around on the floor. They don't completely smash up.
No, I was going to say they don't sort of vanish from existence when you hit with the car.
And at the end, they're like, "Oh man, we can't do it. We don't know where it is." Yeah. Okay. But yeah. But the main storylines, I guess, are like he's kind of trying to figure out what Jericho's up to. So he's kind of moving up through the kind of the food chain of his kind of organisation, sort of the low life kind of thugs, and kind of work out what they're doing. And he works out that they're trying to get these various components to make some sort of chemical weapon as you kind of go. And there's this sort of police kind of what do you call it? Like a board with all the Polaroids on and then arrows, and it kind of builds up over time, doesn't it? Yeah.
People and working out all the links between them.
That's right. Yeah. It's it kind of progresses like that. Really, it is open world. You unlock more parts of the city as you go, and I think you can go back. They're not like completely cut off. I think you can go back and forth between them. It's really nice. The graphics are good. It's really smooth gameplay. Handling it sort of varies quite a lot, actually. I found his standard car quite difficult to control sometimes. I don't know if you did.
It can be.
Yeah, it's a little bit slippery. Yeah.
I gotta say, I don't know what your experience of the game was going into it, but I think there's a mission, like one of the early missions is just a standard sort of chase mission. You've got a target and you have to catch them and sort of ram them a certain amount of time so their car breaks down and you can arrest them. And I think when I first started playing it, I mean, the tutorial section does show you like all the your ability to take over other cars and all this, that and the other. But in that first mission, I think subconsciously I didn't take any of that into account. I just started playing it like you would a normal chase mission.
Yeah.
And I was having a bit of a hard time with it. And it sort of clicks where you can take over a car driving in the opposite direction.
Yes.
And try to ram the target from there. And it's really difficult to do. I mean, the timing, it takes some work getting the timing down.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that it takes that. It's just a completely different approach to a kind of mission that you've done a million times in other games.
Yes.
And it's something genuinely new to that formula.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really difficult thing to do.
Yes.
To take something like a really standard, template of gameplay and to really mix it up like that and do it successfully as well. It's really cool.
Absolutely. At that point, I mean, it's these kind of games have existed for a while, so it is difficult to come up with a genuinely new idea. And the fact that they don't really tell you that you can do that, they, as you say, they do kind of leave it up for you to figure out. And that
they give you the tools, and then it's up to you.
Yes, I remember that moment where I realised, hang on, I can just use other cars to just ram into him and be creative, and that was really, really cool. It reminded me of just as like a kid ramming cars together, and it's a little bit like Burnout, like the crash.
I was going to say there's a definite Burnout feel to it, isn't there?
Yeah, so you kind of pick a car that's going in the opposite direction. The bigger one, the better. You've got to find like a truck or a bus or something usually, and you just kind of swerve. There's an art to finding the right amount of timing. Because first you'll pick one that's quite close, but by the time you can sort of steer it in the right direction, he's already gone past you.
Yeah, they've already flown past.
So you got to go quite far ahead, and then you've got to kind of get in position, and they will try and kind of avoid you. But yeah, if you can get good at it,
Oh, you definitely can, yeah.
Yeah.
There's another mission as well. I don't know if it's one of the side missions. I don't think it's a compulsory one. But there's like street race missions that you have to do. Well, you don't have to do, but you know what? You've done these missions a million times. Go through the checkpoints and get to the finish line. There's a mission like that, but you have to come first and second.
Yes.
So you have to. You can't just take over one car, win the race. You've actually got to balance your... You've got to make sure that you come in first and second place. I've never done that in a game before.
No.
It's another first. And it's just a really neat idea.
It is, yeah. I will say with that one, I did find it a bit difficult. So
it's infuriating.
in the end, I just took control of other vehicles and rammed into my opponents. And then I just won by default because there's no one there.
That's a legit tactic.
It is legit, yeah. You can legitimately do that, and it's fine. You won't get penalised for it. It's then you just you've won because you've eliminated all the other opponents with other cars. And I've never done that in a race before.
No, and there's loads of... I don't know if the word is subversive, but it subverts your expectations of what's going to happen in a particular scenario. There's these things that you think you know exactly how it's going to go down, but it just puts a real sort of fresh slant on it that you probably haven't done before. You haven't thought about doing these missions in this way before, and it's it's really, really good.
It's refreshing to see from like a game of its time, I think. It's I was really surprised by that actually, because I didn't really look up too much going into it. I think you advised me as such anyway. I can't remember.
Yeah, I didn't want you to get spoiled on the whole coma aspect of it. It's hard not to, but I wanted that to sort of reveal itself organically.
Yes, and it was it was really cool to see. It really felt like something new you hadn't seen before. I think you do kind of unlock kind of new abilities, like the ability to ram and like boost a bit, and then the ability to switch between two cars. Yeah,
switch quickly between the cars. Which once you get the hang of that, that's a really useful skill.
Very useful.
The police chasers and things.
Yeah, if you've got two cop cars, you can switch between them, and they'll control automatically when you're not there, obviously. And then as soon as one gets behind, you switch to the other one. Yeah, that was quite cool.
Yeah, because each vehicle's got like a damage limit, so as you smash into things or things smash into you, if you reach a certain level, the car will get wrecked. So especially with the police cars thing, you can use that to sort of switch between the different cars and not get too much damage on one car. You can jump to another one with a higher...
That's right, you can keep the balance. Yeah,
it's really quite tactical.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot else to say about it really. It's.
If I had to criticise, I would say, other than the coma aspect of the story, I didn't find the story that compelling. I thought, what's his name, Chris Generico he wasn't a very good villain. I thought he was just a bit stock. Yeah,
a little bit stock. I mean.
And I thought the voice acting was a little bit corny at times.
It's not that bad. I've heard a lot worse, trust me.
Oh, I've heard worse.
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean, yeah. It's I didn't mind the story.
I didn't mind it. It does its job. I like the coma aspect of it. I think that's a really interesting... It's interesting, and it's a good way of explaining what's happening in the game and why it's happening, because I don't know how you could do a realistic kind of story with actual humans and explain how he can jump from car to car in consciousness.
It's a good mechanism for allowing that to happen.
But in terms of I don't know, I wasn't compelled to find out where the story went. I was playing it more for the game than for the story.
I kind of wanted to sort of confirm what was actually happening, in the sense that he was in a coma, yet he was in this sort of dream world, and how that, the things that he's doing in a dream world, do they affect reality? I mean, that kind of thing. So I wanted to see how that would resolve. And I must admit, I ended up looking it up on YouTube. I did get a fair bit into the game, but I kind of got stuck on a couple of missions that you had to do, and I just got a bit... I don't know. I think I probably could have done them if I'd persevered, but they were getting quite frustrating. I kind of had my fill of it. And I just wanted to see... I did see it through the end on YouTube. There was only a few more missions to go. Just to see, how that transpired. And there are some interesting things that happen kind of later on in terms of your relationship with Jericho, I suppose, and what he suddenly gets powers in your world, in that world, which is quite interesting. And then certain shifts happen that you don't quite expect. And then just sort of how he kind of resolves it in the end. So it's kind of
it's not a bad story. It's just not. I wouldn't say it's the game's strongest aspect.
Not particularly. No.
You know, the gameplay's the star of the show, but yeah, I definitely recommend it though. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if because I've written down a couple of favourite missions or sort of interesting missions. There's you get a couple where you have to kind of stay off the main roads a bit.
Yeah, you get there's like a guy who's in witness protection and he's really paranoid. If you drive on the main road, he thinks someone's going to get him.
Yeah.
So you have to try and keep to the side roads and keep his paranoia down.
Yeah, there are missions like that where you really have to keep an eye on the map and you have to look ahead of your route because you'll get the end point and you kind of have to figure out in that case what's the best route you can take, because once you go into those main routes, there's a little bar that sort of starts going down, and if you deplete that, then you've lost the mission. So the more sort of smaller routes you take, the better. So you've really got to plan ahead and say, okay, so there's a little gap here, but if I get there fast enough, I can make it, and then sort of top it up when you get to the smaller routes. And there's a few like that where you have to really be careful about what you're doing. There's another one that was basically a rip-off of Speed, the movie.
Yes.
Where you've got like a truck. Was it a truck? And someone's put a bomb on it and you can't go below a certain speed. Literally just ripped right out of the movie. But, it was quite fun to play though. And you had to plan your route out on that because it was a big truck that was quite difficult to manoeuvre. So you had to know exactly when you were going to turn.
Is that the mission where you have to then protect it? You get it to like the bomb defusal place, you get it to like the police station or something, and then like all the bad guys try and ram the thing to blow it up. You've got to try and defend it.
That's a different one.
Is that a different one? That drove me mad.
That was really difficult. That was one of the ones I gave up on actually. Sort of a later version of that. That was But the speed one, you get it to a certain place, and then you have to get a low car from nearby, and you have to drive it underneath the truck to defuse it. It's all sort of automatic. You sort of drive right under it, and you stay under it for a certain amount of time when it diffuses. There's a couple like that.
I don't know if I got to that bit.
But
it's good anyway.
Yeah, it's good. So as I said, there's quite a lot of variety there. Destroying sort of oncoming cars by grabbing a car and ramming into it is sort of a highlight. Yeah, and you can actually solve sort of quite a fair few of the missions by doing that. So it is.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, blocking off sort of narrow alleyways and stuff and causing bottlenecks and it's really
satisfying.
Great.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame that formula hasn't been developed at all. I mean, that's the only game that I know that does it.
Yeah.
And it, if they refined it, I just don't know why it didn't find an audience. Really, it's a shame.
It is weird, yeah.
Because it's cheap. You can buy it cheap.
Very cheap, yeah.
And you can buy, if you want the collector's version, that goes for like 30 quid.
Oh, really?
CX.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there was a collector's version. I think that's when
it comes with like a little model of the car and all that kind of stuff.
That's quite cool. Yeah. Right. Didn't know that.
Chaps.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I don't really have anything else to say about the game. I think we've kind of covered all the bases.
I think we've given a good flavour of it. If you're interested in it, like I say, definitely pick it up. It's nice and cheap. I think the gentleman I mentioned earlier, Nick Robinson, he's got a petition running to try and get Ubisoft to re-release it on digital platforms. So if you're a PC gamer and you want to give it a try, stick your name on a petition. Internet petitions always work, so it's bound to have results.
Yeah, all right. It's worth a try anyway. It's no harm in putting your name down, is there? So.
No, absolutely not. No,
you never know. It was one thing. It did have that weird you play something, some weird connection thing. I skipped all of it, but there was some sort of internet connection thing.
Yeah,
don't know.
Ubisoft stick that in loads of their games, and I don't even know what it is. It's
No.
like I think it's like their rival to Xbox Live.
Right.
Because I seem to remember one of the Assassin's Creed games back when they were of interest to me. I kind of went off them because they all seem to be the same. But
Yeah.
you got like points, like gamer score points for doing achievements in the game, but they weren't like gamer score points. They were Ubisoft points or something. I don't know. Put in the bin.
Kind of pointless. I don't get that.
Yeah, totally pointless.
Yeah. But that was that. Yeah. So that's Driver San. I almost forgot the name of it. Driver San Francisco. We recommend it. Go and buy it.
Yeah. Do it.
So next month, are we doing the special thing that
we're doing the special?
We're doing the special thing. Okay. So this is the special thing. We're each picking a game, but it's a game that's a bit different. These are going to be bad games. Games gone bad.
Games gone bad.
When games go bad. Yeah, we figured that we've been doing far too many good games like Driver San Francisco in this podcast. So it's time to mix it up and put a couple of stinkers out there. And the reason we're doing two is because we figure they're going to be so bad that we won't really want to play them very much. So I've got a pick. You've got a pick. Who do you want to go first? Do you want to go first or shall I?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Right, my pick is, okay. So when I got into sort of retro games a few years ago, started collecting them and getting a bit more interest rather than just playing modern stuff. I listened to a lot of podcasts like ours, and I would often hear the name of this game crop up as something that was sort of overhyped beyond belief and then turned out to be hugely disappointing.
Okay.
And that game is Rise of the Robots.
Ooh. Starting with a heavy hitter there. Wow.
I've done a little bit of research on it, but I don't really know much about it.
Have you not played it?
I've not played it, no.
Oh, this is going to be entertaining. Jeez.
Well, that's kind of the point. I was hoping we could, because you can play a bad game like you can watch a bad movie, and just find some joy in it.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. So it came out in late '94. I don't actually remember it at the time. I don't know if you do.
I do. I remember it because it was on. There was a TV show, Bad Influence. Did you watch Bad Influence?
I didn't. I know of it.
Yeah, it was mentioned on there a few times. And in a lot of magazines at the time, is like you say, being really overhyped. It was like the next evolution of games.
Yeah. So it's a fighting game featuring pre-rendered 3D robots, and I think from what I've gleaned from it, they've spent far too much time modelling the things and coming up with this complicated AI system that they kind of completely forgot about the gameplay, or it just didn't work basically. And so it'll be interesting to see.
Okay.
It's on Mega Drive, SNES, Arcade, Amiga, 3DO. So take your pick, I guess, whatever's most convenient. I'll try as many of those as I can, probably just out of interest.
I've got it on Mega Drive, so I will.
Oh, you got the cartridge?
I got the cartridge.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay, you can plug that in. I'll emulate it. Cool. Okay, so that's going to be my pick. That's half of what we'll be playing for next month. So what's your pick going to be?
Well, originally when we planned this, like I say, we're about a month behind because of the changes in our schedules and things.
Yeah.
So this would have been a good Halloween pick.
Okay.
It's a survival horror.
Right.
I don't think we've had any survival horror.
No, we haven't.
So
No.
It's a survival horror for the PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
It's from 1997. It's called Overblood.
Overblood. I don't think I've even heard of that.
Oh, it's lovely.
Is it?
It's a Bobby Dazzler.
It's a Bobby Dazzler. Okay.
Yeah.
Go on then. Explain.
I think one of the things that made... I've mentioned Consolvania already once in the show. It's a internet-based game show. It's really difficult to describe. You'd have to watch it. But it's well worth watching. But it's Consolvania that really inspired me to want to do something about games on the internet.
Okay.
And I think it's one of the main motivating things that I didn't know whether it be like a YouTube thing or a website or a podcast. As it happened, we settled on podcast. But I think it's one of the things that really made me want to do something about games. And Overblood is one of their sort of quote unquote classic reviews that they covered, and I'd never heard of the game before they covered it, and it's an experience. So as they shared it with me, I would like to share it with others.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So
yeah, I've never heard of it either. It's it must have sort of slipped under the radar of a lot of people, I guess.
a lot of people, yeah.
Fortunately.
It's available on the PlayStation Store in Japan,
Yeah.
but I mean, you'll have no trouble tracking.
I'll
it down.
track it
It's
down.
not-
Yeah.
It's not a difficult game to find.
Yeah. Okay.
So yes, I won't say anything about the story.
Alright.
You must experience it for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. I've got an idea in my mind of roughly the kind of thing to expect, but yeah, it's funny because I'm not really into survival. I'm not really into horror. I'm sure this probably won't scare me much, but
I'd be very surprised.
yeah. So for that reason, it's probably not the sort of thing I'd seek out anyway. But
No.
yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, if anyone wants to play along, that's the two games you've got to track down.
Yeah.
I would say though, I don't want to just slate the game for no reason.
No,
so
no,
I
no,
am
no.
gonna be looking for positives in it as
Yeah.
well, because
Yeah.
I don't think anyone ever makes a game meaning for it to be bad.
No.
So I'm going to look for what the intention was and what good ideas, if any, can be found beneath the surface. So I'm not going to just slate it, but we'll have some fun with it. I think is a good idea for a little side attraction to the main show.
Yeah, I think, and that'll be our end of year episode. So we're also going to do the second annual Pod 'em Up Awards in that
The
episode as well.
second annual Pod 'em Up Awards
For-
for outstanding achievement in the field of excellence.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, so we're going to be looking at all the games we've covered, possibly including those two. I don't know, but yeah, we've got So we'll be putting out on Twitter requests for your favourites of the ones that we've done.
They will be both nominated for the Technically a Game Award.
Yeah. Yes. This is passable as a game. Passable.
It's technically a video game.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But
I'm going to have a look at the awards that we did last year. I might make some tweaks. I don't know, because I've thought of a couple of other ideas since then.
Oh, good.
But I'll let you know. And then we'll do that homework. Basically, it'll be structured the same, I think, unless you've got any objections.
No. It's all
Cool.
good.
Okay, so we're going to sort that out. We'll put it out on Twitter. If you let us know which of the games we've covered this year is your favourite, which we've kind of had a bit of feedback on already through our little competition that we did, didn't we? Yeah, it was interestingly no one picked Medieval, which I found interesting.
I think they did.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I think they did. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure most of them were Metal Gear Solid.
Oh. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid got.
Yeah,
Why no one said Medieval?
I know.
That's probably because they thought it was too obvious.
Yeah.
Because it was a competition to win Medieval.
well,
so they
apart
thought,
from
well,
Medieval, yeah.
I'm not going to do the obvious pick. It goes without saying. Yeah, exactly. It goes without saying because they want to win Medieval, so they obviously have a preference for that. So
Yeah, either that or because Medieval's on the second page of our blog page, I just didn't bother looking at the second page. But just want to shout out congrats to at Matthew Lyon 11 who did win the Medieval for PS4.
yes,
Have you
it's
sent-
on its way.
You sent it to him?
Yeah.
Excellent, awesome.
I don't know how long it'll take to get there because he's in America.
Yeah.
But
It's coming.
it's coming.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so yeah, that kind of wraps everything up, I suppose.
I think it does.
Yeah. If you want to email us, we're podemup@gmail.com. On Twitter, we're at podemup, and podemup.net is our website.
It is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a good one.
It is great.
Everything is good.
Everything is good. Yeah, everything is good in the world of Podemup.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see you next month, all being well. And yeah, for our end of year
Kind of blows my mind a
bonanza.
bit that it's the end of year show already.
I know. We've done a year,
really
a year and a half roughly of Podemup. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
time
weird.
time flies by so quick. But yeah, we've had a great time so far. Yeah, played lots of cool games.
Yeah. So what better way to finish the year by playing Two Sinkers?
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.